Okay, let's do this. Last week we introduced ourselves to this guy. His channel's name is Health Sanctuary Family. He is a big cultist with a Q, if you know what I mean. Very obsessed with the number 17 and President Donald Trump. There she goes. Bye, kitty. Thanks for stopping by. Anyway, he thinks that Trump is going to be re-inaugurated at some point this year, so let's take a look at some of these, shall we? Oh, loud. Sorry.
Brightest days are just ahead, just ahead, just ahead.
A lot of people, including me, are wondering, when will Trump be president? Will it be this year? Will it be this month? Will it be next month? Will it be in 2024? And I'm here to focus on answering that. I acquired some new information that sheds light on that question, and hopefully I have some type of answer that'll be helpful for you guys on when he'll be president. All I can do at this point is predict, but I do have some interesting information that is relating to when Trump will be president. So I'm here to share that in today's video. My name is Peter Hanna, and this is Peter's Political Perspective. Woo woo! All right, so let me dive right into it. So I have 3 new pieces of information, but I just want to lay out the inauguration 4th thing. Like, I gave that a small percent chance that Trump would be inaugurated on March 4th. So that's just, I mean, some people are like, oh, you predicted, you were saying. I was like, did you get to the end of my video where I said there was a low chance Trump would be inaugurated March 4th? But still.
You always do that, though. Just spoilers. I've been watching this guy's channel since last week. He always does this. He'll make predictions and be like, this is gonna happen, guys. And then he'll, like, step back from it so he has cover when it clearly doesn't happen. He'll be like, it probably won't happen, guys, but on such and such date. It's his MO.
Still, there was some evidence pointing in that direction. Anyway, so what are the chances Trump, in my opinion, will be president this month in March? I'm thinking around 5% at most. When will Trump be?
I like when he throws out the percentages, too, because it's clearly based on absolutely nothing. It's just a feelings meter. Like, he has no real information to go on. So when he says 5% or 50%, it's just telling us how he feels. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with how you feel. But he's saying it as if there's any substance behind his estimations when there isn't.
Be president in April. What are the chances of that? I'm thinking...
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, March was at like 75%, and now it's down to 5.
I don't know, like 15% chance Trump will be president in April. I was very optimistic Trump will be president either in March or April, but then I acquired some new information, and now I'm a little bit confused. So, acquired 3 new pieces of information. The first one is Trump's CPAC speech, where he says, our brightest days are just ahead. And just ahead, there's no like time definition for that, but just ahead sounds like this year, but in a few months, like 3 or 4 months.
Just ahead is vague. It doesn't mean any specified period of time. It could mean anything. I could say, the best is yet to come, just ahead, and I could be talking about tomorrow, I could be talking about next month, I could be talking about 50 years from now. It doesn't mean anything specific.
So that's kind of the timeline I'm most optimistic and hopeful about. But then you have this meme, which Donald Trump Jr. posted. Let me show you the meme right here. And this meme says, for the love of God, come back. And then Trump's like, what do you think, folks? Should I do it?
That's a terrible meme. Who made this meme? Honestly, they should be indicted for that meme. That's so bad.
So, I know that Donald Trump Jr. says jokes all the time, but if Trump wasn't going to come back...
Yeah, this is some bad copium. This is terrible.
...in the next 2 years, even until 2024, that is a very hurtful joke for all of Republicans and Trump supporters, because people...
Donald Trump Jr. hurt my feelings. By the way, let's go back to planning the military coup to overthrow democracy.
who are Trump supporters especially are really suffering. In fact, the whole country is suffering with Trump not being president. So to post a joke, a meme on his Instagram being like, ha 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 guys, should he come back and save planet Earth, or should we all just die and suffer? It's not that funny unless he's actually coming back soon. So
Donald Trump Jr. would never be mean.
I look at that meme and I interpret it as he must be coming back soon, because if he's not coming back soon in the next few months, then that's a very cruel joke. If Trump's going to come back...
Okay, this is pretty pathetic. I normally try to be pretty nice to the conspiracy people when I can. But this level of coping is... like, this is pathetic, man. Come on. Oh, no. This guy supposedly has children.
Back in 2024, even 2 years down the line, it's a very cruel joke to laugh it off like, oh, should he come back and save people?
It's almost like the Trumps don't give a shit about you. Weird.
Well, it's only funny if he'll come back in a few months. Then we'll just laugh it off me like, ah ha ha, remember when he said that? But if he doesn't come back in a long time, that's like, Donald Trump Jr., that's a hurtful joke. Don't you get? The people are suffering.
The implication that Donald Trump Jr. gives a shit about literally everyone else, anyone else, is pretty funny.
So this meme, which is a hint, makes me think that Trump will be president next month or this month. Like eminent. He's like asking the public, like, guys, do you want him back? Do you want him back?
Donald Trump's in a corner deciding, should I do a military coup somehow? Junior, how do we decide if the people are ready? Dad, I've made a meme, and based on the responses, I think we can determine if it's time for the storm.
Kinda in a way. So this meme is what makes me most optimistic about him returning soon, like this month or next month, but honestly the chances of that are very low. But then you have Trump's CPAC speech where he said our brightest days are just ahead, which to me sounds like 2 to 6 months, which is still this year. But then I watched an interview with Doug Billings and Sidney Powell, and from hearing that, it sounds to me like we may not see military action until at the earliest December, or most likely next year. And so I find it odd that Donald Trump Jr. is like, oh, maybe in a month or two. That's what he's implying. Trump is like in 3 to 6 months or something like that. And Sidney Powell is like, you'd be lucky if you see some action this year. It's like, what? So what is going on here?
He's so close! He's so close to understanding that this is all nonsense that different grifters are using to make money and to control people. It's like, none of this makes sense. Everyone's giving me different answers. It's almost like they're all making stuff up on the spot. I wonder why.
I think part of what's going on, sorry, my little left eye's a little blurry. Part of what's going on here is Trump has been doing a lot of feinting. And by feinting, I mean F-E-I-N-T, which means he's like, oh, deep state, I'm going to punch you, I'm going to take you down.
You mean feign? To feign something?
I'm going to take you down. And then he doesn't do it.
That's not pronounced the same way as faint. You faint.
And he's like, all right, I'm going to release some documents. And then he doesn't do it. Oh, I'm going to do this. He doesn't do it. And then, as a result, the deep state expends their ammunition trying to counter...
It is a thing, similar to feign, but faint is also a thing? Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Jeffrey Patron. Welcome, Raiders. Go check out Jeffrey Patron here on Twitch. We're just watching a QAnon person right now, desperately trying to cope with the fact that reality exists.
Moves that they expect...
Oh, it's a boxing term? Right on.
They're going to happen, but then they don't happen. So, in theory, strategically, we could see feints for, like, months or even years. Like, Trump could keep on pretending he's going to arrive soon and defeat the deep state. He could do that for, like, 3 or 4 years. Like, in theory, I mean, he's been feinting.
Donald Trump is, like, really... How old is... Hold on. Donald Trump age. Donald Trump is already 74 years old. How long do you expect him to be your savior for?
For 3 years, like pretend he's gonna hurt the deep state and attack them and arrest them, and he doesn't. For 3 years, he's been doing that. So what stops him from doing it for 3 more years? Well, in my opinion, the whole country crumbling. The United States crumbles and the economy crumbles, then...
Oh, the economy's already fucked. Honestly, the economy was fucked before the pandemic, but Trump botched that so badly that we are in for a recession, if not an outright depression at some point. It's going to be really, really, really bad. But structurally, our economy is fucked anyway due to the large amounts of, like, income inequality, so... I don't know. Donald Trump's certainly not going to help it. He exacerbated the problem.
The United States advantage, which is the economy, is disappears, and then we can't fund the military, and then the United States isn't the policeman of the world, and then the whole world crumbles. So for the safety of planet Earth, it makes sense strategically to me that Trump would return very, very soon this year. It makes sense. That's what motivates him, in my opinion, to stop fainting and actually do a real attack, a real move, real arrest, big moves, military, stuff like that. So I think it'll be soon. That's where I sit right now. I'm thinking in the next 2 months, maybe like a 15-18% chance it'll happen this month or next month. Will it happen this year? I'm still at 90% chance that we'll...
No, it went down. It went down, though. It was like 100 before.
We'll see the military action or something big this year. I will be shocked if he waits till next year, because there'd
Prepare for shocked Pikachu face memes.
be so much damage done to the country meanwhile. So it makes sense that he would wait. I'm sorry, not what he would wait, that he would act as soon as possible. Honestly, the timeline I'm looking at most likely is Trump's whole CPAC speech, which is the next 2-3 months. But like I said, you have Donald Trump Jr. saying very soon, Trump who's saying in a few months, and then Sidney Powell who's saying...
No, Donald Trump did not say in a few months. He said, good things are just ahead. That does not mean a few months. Don Jr. did not just say a few months. He posted a meme. This guy reads into everything and then uses his read-in definitions as if it's what actually was said explicitly. It's so frustrating.
Maybe
this is from 2 days ago. Someone asked when this was.
End of the year or late next year, or like next year or late this year. So these 3 different timelines, I think, is part of the feinting. It's part of confusing the enemy. The enemy doesn't know, Deep State doesn't know when Trump's going to attack, especially with all these hints in different directions. At the end of the year, no in a month, no in 3-6 months. All these are contradicting pieces of information, which means he's trying to trick the Deep State and catch them off guard. But also it makes it a little hard for me to predict, because I'm like, and don't worry, I'm not feeding information to the enemy. They have way better ways to predict which Trump's going to move. So I'm not giving the enemy new information or helping them out by trying to predict when Trump will act. But I do think 50% chance it'll be in the next 6 months. That's kind of where I'm at, which is the timeline we got from Trump and CPAC. Our brightest days are just ahead. Just ahead sounds like 6 months or less we're going to see Trump inaugurated, because brightest days, what that means to me is that Trump is president again. There's no Republican in the country who's going to have a bright day, except for the never-Trumpers, unless Trump is president again. So when he says the brightest days are just ahead, that sounds to me like in 6 months or less. You disagree, I want to know in the comment section. When he says the brightest days are just ahead, how would you interpret that timeline? Is that in a year or two? Is that in a month or two? Is that in 6 months? I interpret that as like 2 to 6 months. That's what I'm thinking. So
thank you, Von Tux, for those links.
Long story short, I'm a little confused on when he's going to return. I'm still extremely optimistic.
You're more than a little confused, friend. It's pretty sad, actually.
Like 90% chance that he will be president this year.
90%, guys. Okay. We'll check back in.
Now less optimistic that it'll be in March and April. My confidence in him being president this month or next month has lowered dramatically, because I haven't seen any military action. And I see all these different timelines, the Sidney Powell timeline, the Trump timeline, the Donald Trump Jr. timelines, which are all over the place, which are quite confusing. So now I'm like, I don't think it'll be so soon. But who knows? Trump's trying to catch the Deep State off guard. I hope it's soon. I know you guys all hope it's soon. But at the end of the day, he's going to act in the time that will be the most successful and produce the least amount of collateral damage. That's his priority, keeping us safe. So we can rest assured knowing that when Trump comes back, it'll be in the optimum time. He's got a plan. He will be president this year or before 2024. I can guarantee you that. That's
He's already pre-shifting the goalposts.
for sure, because we won't have a country in 2024. There'd be... Anyway, I want to get into that, but there wouldn't be a country in 2024, so he has to be president before that. I'm very excited about him being president. I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of this meme that Donald Trump Jr. put up? Cruel joke? Or is it an optimistic hint joke that Trump would come back very soon? What do you think of what Trump said at CPAC? Brightest days are just ahead? Or maybe the Sidney Powell, Doug Billings. If you watched that interview, do you think Trump will act this year or will it be next year? I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. I feed off your intelligence, your
He must be starving.
opinions, the information you send me, and I use that to improve the quality and the accuracy of my videos. So let me know. Definitely want to hear what you guys think. So many smart people come to my channel. Just want to give you a quick channel update, which I sometimes do at the end of my videos. I do have a new intro. Hopefully you guys like it. I'm still experimenting with.
Okay, let's see what his more recent ones are. God, his intro is so long. His logo looks a little weird, too. I feel like maybe the graphic design is my passion thing. Gets thrown around too much, but graphic design is my passion. Look at that. Also looks a little fashy, but I don't know if that's intentional.
April 4th, or something big will happen April. Pieces of evidence that... In this video, I explore 6 pieces of evidence that Trump will get inaugurated on April 4th, or something big will happen April 4th.
Okay, goalposts are at April 4th now. Good to know.
Or some point in April. There's 6 pieces of evidence that seem to be pointing to April, specifically Easter, which is April 4th in April. Is Trump going to be inaugurated on that date?
No.
Is something big going to happen? Is there going to be military action?
No.
I'll explore all those possibilities in this video. My name is Peter Hanna. This is Peter's Political Perspective. Woo woo! Alright, so click on the subscription button on the bottom right corner.
Never go full copium, folks. He's got unbridled positivity, but in all the wrong places.
The screen so you can stay updated on when my videos get posted. Let me just point out, disclaimer, I think the chances of Trump getting inaugurated on April 4th are very low.
See, this is what I'm saying. Every time he makes a prediction, I think he's like, I think the chances are pretty low on us. The further out the date is, the higher the likelihood is. And as the date gets closer and closer, he just lowers his estimate. How can he do this time and time again and not realize what he's doing?
Even getting inaugurated in April, I don't think they're that high. But just for the fun of it, because I love being hopeful and I love getting excited about dates, there is a lot of evidence pointing to some miracle, some majestically wonderful event happening on April of this year. 6 pieces of evidence pointing to it.
I'm ready. I'm ready for these 6 pieces of irrefutable evidence. Please continue.
To be fair, these aren't like major bombshell pieces of evidence, but they're evidence enough that you might want to take a look at them and be like, is something happening this Easter? In just a month away? Well, let's explore all those evidences in this video. Let me get started with piece of evidence number 1. This all started with Trump's April coronavirus speech, and he made a speech saying last year in 2020, oh, we're going to reopen the economy in April. But the way
how'd that work out?
He talked about it was really weird. He talked about the invisible enemy and how things are going to be
How do you determine when a Trump speech is weird? They're all goddamn weird. He talks like a crazy person.
Amazing, and Easter is going to be incredible. It's going to be the best Easter ever. And he said all these weird things, and none of it came to pass.
Maybe learn something from that and internalize the lesson. Learn from the past and make changes appropriately.
But what's interesting, and the Anons were noting, is that he never said Easter 2020, or he never said this Easter. it's going to happen. He just said Easter in general, which leads us to this theory. Was he referring to Easter 2021?
No! No! He wasn't! Stop making excuses for him! He's an idiot!
When all these magical rainbow unicorn events were going to happen. Is that when he was referring to? Let me show you a few video clips of Trump talking about reopening in Easter and stuff like that. Just one long video clip. And then I'm going to get into other 5 pieces of evidence that something big is going to happen in April. So check out these videos.
The end of our historic battle with the invisible enemy.
The invisible enemy is COVID. The disease? The virus that has caused global disaster. 'Cause this is a speech about coronavirus.
It'll go on for a while, but we win. We win. I said earlier today that I hope we can do this by Easter. I think that would be a great thing for our country, and we're all working very hard to make that a reality. We'll be meeting with a lot of people to see if it can be done. Easter is a very special day for many reasons. For me, for a lot of our friends, that's a very special day. And what a great timeline this would be. Easter as our timeline, what a great timeline that would be.
So notice how he says it'll be an amazing timeline. It'll be an incredible timeline. What a weird thing to say. And he's all...
It's a weird thing to say because Trump talks weird. Every speech he gives is like this. Do you not listen to Trump talk ever?
Also talking about the invisible enemy in this clip. Someone pointed out that he also talked about the invisible enemy in his goodbye speech, which means, why would you be like, oh, I'm going to defeat the invisible enemy when you're no longer, you can be president for like 1 more hour. He's literally in his goodbye.
He's just giving a general goodbye speech. So he mentions hot button topics. COVID is still a huge deal because he bungled it.
Speech. When he stopped being president, he's like, oh, I'm going to fight the invisible enemy. It's like, what? How, if the invisible enemy is the coronavirus, how is he going to fight the coronavirus if he's not president anymore? So why would he say this in his goodbye speech unless the invisible enemy has 2 meanings? One is the coronavirus, which is it's the invisible enemy because it's the virus you don't see. You can't see it with your eyes. And also the invisible enemy is something else, the deep state cabal, the enemy we don't really see, the enemy in the background. If that's the case, then it makes sense when he said that we will defeat the invisible enemy and the United States will reopen in Easter, in April. This is what he's saying. Easter is when the economy will be open. The United States will reopen on Easter because we're going to defeat the invisible enemy. If the invisible enemy is referring to the deep state, then actually it's possible that this whole weird lingo regarding April was talking about this year when he defeats the deep state in March and everything's amazing in April. I think that's what he's talking about.
No.
Connecting that to piece of evidence number 2, one of the statements that Trump made on a Fox interview was how on Easter, he says, the churches are going to be packed. The churches are going to be packed. And he's like, it'll be a beautiful timeline. It'll be a beautiful timeline. Like, who says timeline? That's just an odd word. When I think timeline, I think different timelines, time travel.
God damn it. We need to start issuing licenses for people to use the internet. And it'll be just like a basic knowledge or like a mental stability check. It'll be like a driver's license and you're going to have to scan it every time you want to access the internet. Timeline in this context means our plans moving forward, like a timeline, like at this point next month, we would like cases to be at this level. It's a timeline. It's like a series of events that you've charted out. It is not related to time travel.
It's a weird way to word it. He's like, it'll be a beautiful timeline. And this whole event that was going to be amazing and was going to pack all the churches in the United States full of people. It never happened. But then again, he never said it was going to be Easter 2020.
Okay, but he said it right before Easter 2020, and that's how people talk. You don't specify the year when you know what he's talking about.
He never said this Easter back in March or April when he was saying it. So maybe he's going to arrest a lot of people, expose their crimes this month or in the beginning of April, and that's going to create so much psychological trauma in people that they will be packing all the churches.
It's because people go to church on Easter because it's a Christian religious holiday. Why do you feel the need to come up with some meaning when the meaning is obvious to everyone? What are you talking about?
What type of event would cause everyone to seek God?
Religious holidays.
Trauma. What type of trauma could happen in the next month? Trump exposing the crimes of the elite. That would create so much psychological trauma.
Trump is the elite. He has been rich every day of his life. He is the elite.
Will want to go to a church. That would pack churches. So I know it sounds weird, but it also makes sense in my mind that this piece of evidence number 2, where he's like, oh, in Easter, all the churches will be packed. Maybe it didn't happen last year because maybe he was talking about this Easter when he exposes the crime to deep state and then all the churches will be packed. Very interesting. That's why it's piece of evidence number 2. Now, piece of evidence number 3. Piece of evidence number 3, I'd take it with a grain of salt, but Mr. Simon Parks a lot of cars. You know who I'm talking about? Simon Parks a lot of cars.
I assume it's not this guy, so I don't know who he's talking about.
He said that Trump would get inaugurated in April. Now, he's kind of backtracked us a little bit, but he's also still saying like, oh, I think it could happen in April. So this is piece of evidence number 3 saying Trump will get inaugurated or something big.
Sorry, Baha and I are looking for a house. So, because we're planning on moving in with each other in the next few months, so she just sent me a...
Will happen in April. Will it happen in April? We don't know, but I think considering Mr. Simon Parks, a car, has been accurate in the past with predictions and stuff he made, I think it's worth mentioning it as a piece of evidence, not like bombshell proof of something, but just a piece of evidence that someone who has been correct in the past did mention Trump would get inaugurated in April. So since this is a video about something big happening in April or Trump getting inaugurated in April, I think it's worth mentioning. Now, piece of evidence number 4. So what's interesting is that Easter lands on a different day every year. It's on the first Sunday of the month in April. And it just so happens that Easter lands on April 4th, which is exactly a month after Trump was supposed to get inaugurated, March 4th. Coincidence?
Yes. That is a coincidence. Again, he didn't get inaugurated March 4th, though. That was wrong. That was wrong. That was another crazy conspiracy theory thing that didn't happen. So there is no significance to that date for you to connect it to April 4th? What?
Well, yes and no. Is it a coincidence that landed on April 4th? Yeah, or just for something random. But maybe there's something more to this. Maybe the inauguration was delayed from exactly 1 month. And if that's the case, it would land directly on Easter.
Why?
I just think it's worth mentioning. I think it's an odd thing. These are just little pieces of hope or little thoughts that I thought of that make me hopeful something big is going to happen on Easter, or maybe he'll get inaugurated on Easter. Who knows? But I do think it's very odd that the inauguration for Trump was supposed to be on March 4th and exactly...
But it wasn't. It wasn't supposed to be on March 4th. That was something crazy people made up.
A month later on April 4th is Easter, the day that Trump says big things were going to happen and the churches would be packed and all these... something miraculous was going to happen. Who knows? Maybe you get inaugurated. Maybe that's what's going to pack the churches. All right, on to piece of evidence number 5. Easter is Resurrection Sunday. That's what Easter is all about, resurrection. So
Oh, they're literally going with the Trump is like Jesus thing? Great.
what would be a better day to resurrect the whole country from transition us away from a corporation and into a country? What would be a better day than Easter, which is Resurrection Day? Because from what I hear, what's going to happen is the whole old government will be destroyed, and then a new government will come in, and the military will help everything stay afloat while this new government comes in. But basically, the old government will disappear, and there'll be a new resurrection of a new government based on the Constitution. There's basically going to be a big resurrection of America. And what better day would be than Easter, that on Resurrection Day, the day that everyone's going to go to church, when amazing things are going to happen. Maybe that's when Trump will get inaugurated, or something big will happen, or maybe that's when the country will be resurrected. Who knows? But I think it's interesting that Easter is Resurrection Sunday, and the country could be resurrected in April, maybe even Easter. Worth mentioning. All right, piece of evidence number 6. We hear it all the time, especially the Anons, specifically the Anons. It will be biblical. What would be more biblical? This is my piece of evidence number 6. It's an often phrase we hear all the time from the people posting from the Trump administration. It will be biblical. It's going to be biblical. What would be more biblical than Trump making mass arrests this month, and then people going through all these trials, and then filling up the churches on Sunday, and then Trump getting inaugurated on Sunday on Resurrection Day, and
A hostile military coup is very Bible, so I get that.
resurrecting the whole country into a new government based on the Constitution? What would be more biblical than that? Like, I don't know, maybe Jesus coming down from the sky or something crazy like that. Like, I don't know what could be more biblical than all that happening perfectly, like a Easter miracle. When all hope was lost, boom, suddenly Trump is inaugurated on Easter, and everyone packs the churches and all the crimes are exposed. That sounds biblical to me. Biblical. Easter Sunday, it just makes sense that something's got to happen. I mean, to be fair, this might be another feint where Trump leaves breadcrumbs, making the deep state, and sometimes people like me think, oh, something's going to happen in April, something's going to happen on Easter. And it's all a big feint. It's all to trick the deep state and expend their ammunition. And I'm not giving away this plan to the enemy. They know that Trump's feinting. They know he's doing these things. But there's a part of me that's hopeful, because I really want Trump to be president soon. The part of me that's like, oh, maybe Easter's the day. Maybe that's why it's going to be biblical. Maybe that's why he was talking about Easter the year before in a miraculous way, and the churches will be packed. And it's 1 month after the inauguration when he was supposed to be inaugurated. And Mr. S&P said that it would be in April. Like, all these coincidences in April and Easter, maybe there's a part of me that likes to consider all these things. It's fun to think about. To be fair, I think the odds of Trump getting inaugurated in April currently stand at maybe 15%.
He wasn't sure how to feel about that one.
And him being inaugurated on April 4th, I think is like 5% chance. It's pretty low. I don't think it's high. Because people are going to say, oh, Peter, you said Trump will get inaugurated on April 5th. I think there's a 5% chance he'll get inaugurated April 5th. 15% chance he'll be inaugurated in April. So I don't think the chances of this are high. But since there is evidence, at a minimum, I do think there's like a 30% chance something big will happen in April or March. Like some big military activity, some big awakening that would make us pack the churches. I think there's a good chance of that, like 33% chance that something's going to make us pack the churches this Easter. I do think that's a possibility. Then again, I do have an optimism bias, and I gravitate toward optimistic ideas, but who knows? You never know. Something good could happen this Easter. Anyway, these are my 6 pieces of evidence that either Trump will get inaugurated on Easter or in April, or something big is going to happen in Easter or April. I hope that you guys enjoy these. I really enjoy making these videos. They're kind of fun for me to make. Just thinking about fun possibilities and dates. I know some people are like, don't do the dates things. They have a word for it. Date, F-I-N-G. I'm not going to say the whole word. But there are people who don't like when you put out dates and get people's hopes up and stuff like that. But for me, it's fun. I like to do it, and people like to watch it, so...
It's fun to constantly be wrong and proven wrong time and time again. Hooray!
I'm just going to do it anyway. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
All right, one more. We'll do one more.
These are the reason I'm so confident Trump will win. He'll be president this year. He'll defeat the deep state. These 9 facts are the core of why I'm so confident and
Alright, the past 6 ones weren't that great. But these 9, this'll do it.
optimistic. And then, after I tell you these 9 facts, I'm going to use these facts to speculate on Trump's strategy on how he's going to win. So, let's dive right into it. My name is Peter Hanna. This is Peter's Political Perspective. Woo! Click on the subscription button on the bottom right corner of the screen so you can stay updated on when my videos get posted. And also, it really supports the channel. So, thank you so much for subscribing, and I definitely recommend it. Sweet. All right. Let's dive right into it. Fact number 1. Has Trump ever made a statement that ended up being proven to be false? Because last time I checked, Trump...
His first piece of evidence is, has Trump ever lied? I gotta run that one back. Hold on.
Number 1. Has Trump ever made a statement that ended up being proven to be false?
Has someone made like just a super cut of Trump lying? That'd be great.
The president, by the way, reached off. He's getting.
Believe me. Believe me. Believe me.
Believe me.
Believe me. Believe me. Believe me.
You did his. You're gonna.
He is simply.
Hold on.
One thing I can promise you this. I will always tell you the truth.
Donald Trump lies like breathing. He doesn't know what the truth is.
$30,000 false claims in 1,455 days. 21 lies per day.
The crowd was massive. That was all the way back down to the Washington Monument.
It looked like 1 million, 1.5 million people to get this network. And it showed an empty field. And it said we drew 250,000 people. Now, that's not bad, but it's a lie.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
We built the greatest economy in the history of the world. Best unemployment numbers, best everything.
According to the Washington Post, by just about any important measure, the economy was better under President Eisenhower, Johnson, and Clinton. This did not prevent Trump from repeating the lie 492 times.
And I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country.
Another false claim, one Trump has repeated 294 times. Largest tax cuts were passed under Presidents Reagan and Obama. Trump's tax cut was in fact the 8th largest in history. And some middle-class families saw their taxes go up. Trump claimed 250 times to have passed the Veterans Choice Act, a bill that was originally signed into law by Obama in 2014.
We took care of the VA with Veterans Choice. You saw that. What Obama passed was nothing.
Trump claimed 258 times that a new border wall was being built.
You know, the wall is being built, and we're doing 10 miles a week.
10 miles a week. Total, they have 14 miles.
It'll be completed very soon.
In fact, only 40 new miles of wall had been built. Last time I saw it was 14, so that's my bad.
So we're going to Texas. We're going to the southern border.
Days before leaving office, he mysteriously claimed the wall was finished.
As you know, we've completed the wall. They may want to expand it. And Mexico is paying for the wall, by the way, in case you had any questions. These fact checkers, they'll check facts with me, and I'm like 99% right. And they'll say, and therefore, he lied. We got $28 billion from China that went to our farmers because they targeted you. We tariffed China a lot of money, and they paid for it. You didn't pay. You know, the fake news likes to say, you don't pay. They paid.
Trump claims 247 times that countries including China paid for tariffs on goods imported to the U.S. But tariffs are like a tax and are generally paid by U.S. importers, who often pass the cost on to American consumers.
There has never been, ever before, an administration that's been so open and transparent. I was the most transparent, and am, transparent president in history.
Several experts were contacted and said they laughed out loud when they first heard Trump make this claim. Members of the Trump administration were prevented from cooperating with the Mueller investigation or complying with subpoenas from Congress. The White House stopped releasing visitor logs and held infrequent press briefings. Trump himself consistently refused to release his personal tax returns.
You know, some of the most dishonest people in media are the so-called fact checkers.
In addition to his most brazen and most repeated lies, Trump lies that were either strange or easily disproven.
They say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one, okay?
Noises do not cause cancer.
I went through the whole Mueller hoax. They did this big report. I was totally exonerated.
Did you actually totally exonerate the president?
No.
Your reports expressly states that it does not exonerate the president.
It does. My father is German, right? Born in a very wonderful place in Germany.
Fred Trump was born in New York.
No religion, no anything. Hurt the Bible, hurt God.
Biden has no plans to hurt
12 years ago, I was
God.
named Man of the Year of Michigan. Can you believe it? Long before I thought about it.
No
You
such
look at
award
what's
exists.
happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden.
Problem is, nothing much had happened in Sweden.
Sweden is accusing Trump of fake news.
By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it.
President Trump had nothing to do with our decision and did not impact the deliberations.
If you don't test, you don't have any cases. If we stop testing right now, we'd have very few cases, if any.
Viruses still spread even if people are not being tested.
This is going to go away without a vaccine. It's going to go away, and we're not going to see it again.
The coronavirus did not go away without a vaccine and continued to spread even as vaccines became available.
Donald Trump tells more lies and falsehoods than any president in either party in history.
I have to be always very truthful, because if I'm a little bit off, they call me a liar. They'll say he gets a Pinocchio, the stupid Washington Post. Oh boy, these people are bad. What a group of people we have. What a group of dishonest scum we have, I'm telling you.
Okay, so that's just a supercut of some of the lies Trump has told.
Because last time I checked, Trump, this is a fact. Trump tells the truth. Trump tells the truth. He's never made a statement that ended up not being true or factual. So we know when Trump makes statements, he knows what he's talking about. He's telling the truth. We can trust him. If you don't believe Trump, or you don't trust him for any reason, might as well just stop watching this video, because this whole video and my confidence in us winning is so much dependent on my trust in Trump, my trust in God, and I have full trust in God, full trust in Trump. So
I have not read Bits in a bit, no. After we're done with this video, I don't know if we'll actually finish it, but whenever we're done with this segment, I'll do the Bits messages. We'll almost be done. I know it's been a lot of this guy today.
The fact that Trump has never, ever, ever lied, and at least not to us publicly, and that when it comes to winning and with the deep state, he's 100% been truthful and factual. This is fact number one that gives me confidence in Trump and in the statements he makes. I trust him 100%, and I think you guys should trust him too. Fact number two. Fact number two is that if you look around very carefully, the traitors in the government and outside the government are panicking. And what about the patriots?
Wait, in what way?
Look at Donald Trump Jr., look at Ivanka.
I saw a video of Don Jr. recently. He looked like he had coke bloat.
Look at Trump. They're cool as a cucumber, totally calm. So what does it tell you if the traitors are panicking, full-blown panic mode, scared, freaking out, anxious, depressed, going crazy, wacko, and then you have Trump as cool as a cucumber?
I haven't seen anything about Trump except for a couple pictures since he left office, which is nice, honestly.
What does that say about whether we're winning or losing? Because last time I checked, if we were losing, Trump would be panicking, Donald Trump Jr. would be panicking, Ivanka would be panicking, and all the deep state and all the traitors would just be relaxed, and their ego would be expanding, and they'd be like, ah, ha, 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 I have all the power. That's the opposite. Trump is in a position where he's like, I have all the power.
Cool. I'm going to skip ahead and just see if there's anything else interesting, and then we'll move on.
And all the training, I know for a fact, I'm going to love how this movie ends. It's probably going to end in a wonderful plot. How would you plan your strategy you, with the severity of what's at stake? Trump will win. He will win. I know it's for a fact he'll win because he knows what's at stake is the lives of billions of people, which is huge. He's trying to save planet Earth right now. And because he knows what's at stake, that gives me confidence that he will win. Fact number 6. This is another statement by Trump. He said, to be blunt, game over. It's a fact. It's a fact that they made these statements that I'm telling you about. And these statements are also facts. So they're facts on two levels. Not only are they statements, but they're factual statements. So when Team Trump says, to be blunt, game over. That means game over for the deep state and that we are going to win. So I am very, very confident in, and Trump is 5 steps ahead. So let's be confident that no matter what's happening, it's going according to the plan. Totally according to the plan. Fact number 9 is that God wins. This is the whole part of the plan. We're supposed to suffer a little bit. We're supposed to experience a little bit of the Biden administration. But I don't think it'll be longer than a year. So if you know all that and you trust Trump, then you can be confident that...
Okay, that's enough of this guy for today. Honestly, I really hope his channel doesn't get deleted. I understand if it does, for obvious reasons. But I want to follow this guy's journey, like, over the next year, 2 years, 4 years, as it becomes clearer and clearer that nothing is going to happen. And especially if, I mean, Donald Trump's an older guy, so at some point he'll pass away. What's he gonna do when that happens? Is he gonna be like, this is fake, Trump just went into hiding underground and he's secretly the general of a you know, patriot army or something? What's he gonna do? I'm very interested to find out, so we'll keep an eye on him.